I'm sorry if I look tired. I'm pushing it on, pushing the edges today. So we've been talking about Zettelkasten and stuff a lot now that I've been combining Zettelkasts, which are, short and sweet videos that are directly related to a Zettelkasten entry. Zettel? Did I say that right? We're not going to talk about Zettelkasten right now, other than to say go read about it if you want to go look at it. There's lots of other videos on that. But somebody did ask me the question about whether I have more than one Zettelkasten. And so here's the scenario. You have a lot of knowledge that you want to manage, and on the outset, it feels like it would be a good idea for you to separate those, right? And actually, I did that. And I'm going to tell you why I went away from that approach really quick too. So and let's back all the way back up to Luhmann himself, to Niklas Luhmann, who started this Zettelkasten thing. He kept one big one that it was in boxes that he could reach with both hands, about 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper in there, crammed in there, and that was it. And that's 90,000 or so Zettel entries, and he was able to create over 70 works and publish very successful. So that was his approach, and he had one. I think he had one other one, but I've only heard of the one. And everything that I remember reading so far has been that he put everything in there. So he put, stuff about sociology, stuff about, technology, all of it. It all went in there. And he didn't try, the whole idea of, freeing your mental model up and your mind mapping, all that, is to rid yourself of the where does it go criteria up front. So you can just foster the creative idea and let it come and let it be influenced by things that it might not normally be influenced by. And I used the example when I was talking about this earlier about, the influence the knowledge management has come about, managing our writing as if it was software, and there's some cross-pollination there, and, composition, multiple commands that can be added together. Well, mechanics understand composition. So there are there's cross-pollination, if you will. There's ideas. And so the justification to keep everything in one Zettelkasten isn't just laziness. It's like, well, this really kind of goes together. My specific case was I started a separate Zettelkasten. In fact, I made my Zet script. You should probably make your own. It's a really fun activity. Great project, and you can customize it to your heart's content. I made mine originally so that it could be a multi-call binary, which means you change the name to do or K3S or K8S or whatever, and all of a sudden it would maintain a different Zettelkasten repo, on GitHub. And I'm taking advantage of the technology and all that. Ultimately, I realized, though, that after I had about 10 or 20 entries in my Kubernetes training one, I was like, I already have a ton of other Kubernetes notes that I've taken in my main Zettelkasten, and they would not show up to me if I were to do a search when it comes time to start making publications. Like when I want to make a really fancy blog post or I want to make a book or something, all of these little training tips and tricks but here in Zettelkast and in my Kubernetes are not going to show up over here, and so I got rid of it. I dumped everything into my single Zettelkasten, and he had two, but all of his work is digitized online. Yeah, he did have two. I wonder how he separated them out, or if he just ran out of space. It'd be really interesting to know. So I know a lot of people who use separate Zettelkastens very successfully. Russell, I want to say here has one for work. I also have a Zettelkasten at work that's on work property, that is on work time, that has my notes that get saved to my enterprise GitHub account. So that is I have a Zet command over there, and I have a knowledge base over there, and I make sure to keep that separate because I don't know how much of that stuff. First of all, a lot of the stuff that I keep in there is not stuff that I could ever share with anybody else. There's internal, tips and tricks for how to get things done on the VPN and stuff like that. So that's a pretty dramatic separation. And I'm finding myself that the separations that I tend to want to do with my Zettelkasten are not so much topical or categorical. They're based on access. So the other one that I have is I have a private Zettelkasten that has, a lot of seriously, introspective things that I normally write in a written journal. Actually, I have lots of written journals that I've kept over the years, and I still enjoy that. That's a fun way to do that. But if I do have a personal thing happen that I can say that's, you know, not, and that largely came about because I found out other people were reading my Zettelkasten who were misinterpreting some of the things I was writing, even though I didn't put any names in it at all. And some of them actually went on the warpath against me because they were offended because I was talking about what they decided that matched them and whatever. So at that point I realized if I'm going to actually truly keep one of these, I need to have one that's private. It's got my own, you know, lamenting and ranting. And I don't know if you noticed, but I'm slightly better. I'm still a bad ranter, and so I have a personal one, and then I have the public one, I just call it, and that's everything. So it's everything from Zettelkasten to Mormonism, ex-Mormonism, right? And then I have the work one, and that's my divisions of how I get around with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that down here. I don't know. Sometimes I get more unhinged than usual, to use his word. Forrest Gump mother voice. So I have 3 currently. One that is public and one that is private, and another one just for work that is only on work systems and network. Only available, yeah. And over VPN. So that's it. I have found having more than one, that I have found dividing by topic or category eventually fails as crossovers manifest between seemingly unrelated things. So mechanic, work on engines and OP solid principles, or I mean other stuff, you know, or whatever. Having things that seem never to be related somehow trigger inspiration. Just might be the point of keeping everything together. Everything together. It certainly makes it easier to search. Okay. Yeah. I don't like Obsidian only because it's proprietary, but one Zettelkasten on your computer that's fully works. That's nice. All right. That's all for today on that particular topic. I'm going to save that video.